This is my artwork in the form of greeting cards and postcards at a boutique in Normandy in France. And this is my collection that was sold in India last Mother's Day, a collection of mugs, greeting cards, and t shirts. A year ago, I had no idea how to make any of this happen. It felt like an impossible dream. I was just sketching patterns in my sketchbook, wondering if they would ever become real life products. Today, I'm going to tell you the 5 steps that helped me actually get my artwork onto products. When I decided to get into surface pattern design, which is an industry that's completely new to me, I knew that the first step I needed to take was to educate myself. I wanted to know so much, right from the practicalities of actually turning my physical artwork into patterns to understanding how balanced patterns actually work, to the industry itself, understanding how art licensing works, how to collaborate with brands, how to price my work, how to pitch, and so much more. The artist Jenna Rainey had a course called Brand Plus Brand, and I took this up towards the end of 2023 to start prepping myself towards that goal. Brand Plus Brand is no longer being sold as a course, but there are so many other options out there that you could consider if you want to educate yourself. I also spent a lot of time going through Skillshare classes that taught me more about the industry and also taught me the specifics of how to create patterns. I think at this stage, the hardest part was feeling like I needed to learn everything all at once. And that can tend to be a little overwhelming. But I tried to break it down into stages so that it became a lot more manageable for me to actually start making progress. The next step was figuring out what my brand was going to be. For me, I always knew that I wanted to keep this separate from my core art business, which focuses more on my original paintings and also on art education, like putting out courses on Skillshare. I wanted my pattern designs to come under a separate brand, and I ended up calling this brand Painted Stock Studio. I even created a separate Instagram page so that I could easily manage what I was posting specifically for this goal. When you think about what your brand is going to be, it's not just about what you call the brand. You also need to understand what's going to be the brand vibe, what's the color palette behind the brand, and what kind of brands or companies would you potentially like to work with if you're creating surface pattern designs for licensing. And just an aside, even though I'm talking about this as surface pattern design, it doesn't necessarily have to be repeating patterns. You can also just do surface design by creating illustrations that get applied onto mugs, greeting cards, notebooks, or any other such products. So, understanding what your brand is going to be really impacts the kind of art that you're going to create. It can be very tempting at first to try to appeal to every kind of company in every kind of niche, but I've learned the hard way that that's not a mistake you want to be making. It's much better to understand what your artistic vibe is that you want to bring into your licensing artwork and try to appeal to brands that have a similar vibe to yours. So, when I was thinking about my brand, I also needed to understand exactly what my goals would be with this segment of my business. I started thinking about how soon I want to get started, what would be my long term vision for this brand, and how many collections or pieces of artwork would I need to create before I could actually start pitching to brands. In November of 2023, I set the first concrete goal for this business, which was that I wanted to create my brand book and portfolio by April 2024 so that I could actually start pitching. I also decided that I would include just 3 to 4 collections in this initial portfolio and that I could always add more as I went along. Being very clear about your vision and your goals gives you something very concrete to work towards, and it also helps you stay very focused on what you're doing. If you're somebody who's still figuring out what your art style is going to be, then I would highly recommend spending some time on that before you work on your brand and your goals. Your art style, like I explained before, will naturally guide the kind of brand vibe that you're going to have and will also help you make decisions about what categories of product your art might work on and which companies and brands would be the best fit for you. If finding your art style is something you're working on, you could even watch this video up here where I spoke about that topic. When brands look at your portfolio, they want to see a cohesive style that they can imagine applying onto their products. When I narrowed down my focus with my own art and got a better understanding of the subjects and the kinds of colors I use and what kind of themes I'd like to cover in my art, that helped me be a lot more consistent. This also helped me create a good library of patterns and collections that told a cohesive story about who I am as an artist. And that's exactly what caught the attention of the brands that I ended up working with. They could clearly see how my art would work on the products that they already have on offer and with their current target audience. So, spend a lot of time exploring in your sketchbook and coming up with new creative ideas. Let yourself follow your creative impulses. Assuming you already have your style figured out, you can then work on the vision for your brand, which we discussed in the previous step. And keep in mind that these are things that can always be tweaked later. Nothing is set in stone, so don't feel like you have to lock into anything. Work based on where you're at right now. If you're specifically creating art for a portfolio, I find it very helpful to work in the form of collections. I created 4 collections for my portfolio before I started pitching to brands. This is also a great stage to start showing your work. Remember to be a little vulnerable and be willing to put yourself out there. That's the best way to get discovered and also build your confidence as an artist. If this is something you tend to struggle with, I'd highly recommend reading Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, which is a great book on the subject. Take feedback from the market and get people to engage with your work. This will also help you build confidence and get some validation that your work is actually good. And when you do go out and pitch to brands, it always helps to show them that you have active social profiles where people are already engaging with your work. This could also be a great time to start entering your work into challenges. There are many artists who run challenges. For example, Jihane has the Golden Thread Challenge that runs throughout the year, but there are also specific companies that run challenges on their website. For example, Spoonflower for fabric and wallpaper, and Minted has a lot of challenges where you can enter your designs for stationery and for greeting cards. Entering your work into challenges helps with many things. Firstly, it helps you build your portfolio with trending designs because when a company puts out any new challenge, they're usually trying to tap into trends that already exist. So, putting that trending work into your portfolio is also going to help you appeal to brands. It also helps you put your work out there and get actual feedback from customers. You might see that when you put out your work in a challenge, one design performs much better than another design. This is great feedback because sometimes when we look at our own work, we are very biased. We think all of the designs look great, but just getting that real world feedback from actual paying customers helps so much. It also helps you build confidence. It helps you get noticed potentially by brands or art directors who are constantly scrolling through these platforms looking for new designs or new artists to work with. And you could potentially even win cash prizes when you participate in some of these. Once I reached this point, I now had enough artwork to start building out my portfolio. When you're working on your first portfolio, 3 to 4 complete collections where each collection has about 8 designs is a good number to start with. If your portfolio is small, you don't need to have a separate portfolio PDF. You could contain this within your brand book, which also gives potential clients more information about who you are as an artist, the kind of art you like creating, what themes draw you in, and just a general peek into your creative world. An impressive brand book can really stand out to potential clients. Think about all your strengths. Think about all the things that you have done in the past that can help build your credentials. One thing that helped my brand book stand out was how it went beyond just the artwork. I also tried to tell a cohesive story about who I am as an artist and as a creator. I have run a product business in the past, so I included that experience as part of my brand book so that clients could understand that I know products really well. And rather than just displaying my collections, I tried to tell clients a little bit more about my design process as well. When I first started creating my brand book, I remember feeling really overwhelmed about how to present all the information that I wanted to. Taking that course that I mentioned earlier, Brand Plus Brand, really helped me get some clarity on my thoughts. It also helped me understand exactly what brands are looking for. It's not just about the art, they also want to understand the artist and understand how your art could work on their products. You need to help brands envision how your designs fit into their world. So, once all of this was ready, it was time to start pitching to brands. My biggest advice here would be to pitch to as many brands as you possibly can, and then a few will come through. Also, when it comes to getting your first deal, try to think about unfair advantages. Is there a local boutique that you potentially already have a connection with? Is there a brand owner you have met in the past who seemed interested in your work? Or maybe even a family member who loves your work and also has a brand of their own. While not everybody is going to have these options, in case they do exist for you, they are definitely worth exploring. And if not, then just start cold emailing. Most people get started in this way, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And here's something unexpected. I've been writing an email newsletter for 3 years now, or more than 3 years even. And one of the people who ended up working with me ended up reaching out to me because they are a subscriber on my newsletter. That really goes to show the power of email marketing, and it's something I talk about often on this channel. If you want to know more about how I structure my emails and my exact email marketing strategy, then I definitely recommend checking out this video up here. Once you start reaching out to potential clients, don't worry even if you get rejections. In fact, I would say expect rejections in the beginning. Expect them, accept them, and figure out a way to move forward. Maybe even respond to these rejections, asking them what they felt was lacking in your portfolio. It's possible that maybe you just weren't a fit for what they need right now, and they might even consider working with you in the future. It's a good idea to build that relationship either way. You can also ask art directors for feedback so that you can incorporate that into the next collections that you create. Through this year, I'm going to be working a lot harder on pitching to brands. It's not something I've done enough of yet, so I'll keep you updated on that progress and let you know what lessons I learn along the way. So, now that you know the 5 steps that you need to take, here are some action points that you can start working on right away. Invest time, and if you have the resources for it, then money, on educating yourself and learning as much as you can. If you don't have funds to invest into this right now, that's fine too, but make sure that you use all the free resources that are available on the internet to educate yourself. Keep creating artwork consistently and exploring your style further. Upload to as many platforms as you can for visibility. You don't need to upload to too many, but pick 1 or 2 platforms to get started with and start putting your work out there. Be patient because all of this takes time. Don't expect immediate results. And on that note, it's also useful to have multiple different streams of income, at least a couple of other streams of income while you build up your licensing business. For me, that has been teaching and selling my artwork in the form of prints and originals. With all of this, whether you're starting this as an art business from scratch or you have an existing art business and you're exploring licensing as a new stream of income, either way, it's essential for you to have a plan. To learn more about how to structure your business plan and your goals for the year, I'd recommend checking out this video right here where I explore all of that in full detail and tell you exactly how to build goals in a way that is manageable and in a way where you're not overcommitting to too much. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.